Welcome to the best available floodplain layer, or BAFL as we refer to it, presented by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, Division of Water. So what is best available data? This refers to the studies completed by the Division of Water in 2018 and the associated mapping not already covered by the FEMA flood insurance rate maps or FIRMs. This covers the Zone 8 areas depicted on the FIRMs and other areas not identified on the FIRMs for most streams across the state. It was known as Indiana's best available mapping project. Over the course of the study, the department mapped about 18,000 miles of streams in the state. Currently, after further studies on some shorter reaches, they are up to about 19,000 stream miles. The studies or mapping includes over 2.5 million elevation points, floodway limits, and overall floodplain. We also have the story map on our website that was provided by FEMA after our engineering section, working as a cooperating technical partner, or CTP, did the studies and mapping that earned them a runner-up award for outstanding CTP that year. Most communities in the state have adopted language in their flood hazard ordinance that allows them to regulate to the best available floodplain layer in absence of a published FEMA map or the absence of identification on the FIRM. This means the community must permit development in these areas the same as they would in the FEMA map flood hazard areas. The community should follow their special flood hazard area permitting process, since the maps will eventually become part of the effective flood insurance rate maps. These files shall be maintained permanently so that the documentation is available when the substantiation may be necessary, such as a community assistance visit or community assistance contact, or as we refer to them, a CAV or a CAC. So what are the differences when considering BAFL versus the FIRM or flood insurance rate map? For flood insurance purposes, you would only use the FIRM, since that is where the mandatory purchase requirement comes from. The BAFL does not meet the full requirements of a detailed study, since it is based on LIDAR data and no boots on the ground surveying work was completed. With Risk Rating 2.0, FEMA's new rating methodology for flood insurance premiums, preferred risk policies no longer exist. The rating is partially determined by the distance to the flooding source and not determined by what flood zone the policyholder is located in. For regulatory purposes, local officials should use the most restrictive map. They should encourage property owners to seek a letter of map amendment or LOMA when the site is outside the special flood hazard area on the BAFL layer. The BAFL does not relieve the mandatory purchase requirement of the NFIP. Only a LOMA will do that. So what do you do when a landowner objects to using the best available data? A local official should first refer to the requirements of the local flood hazard ordinance. Educate community members on the consequences of not following the ordinance requirements. If one person is allowed not to follow the ordinance requirements, it may affect everyone who has a flood insurance policy in the form of probation or suspension. At probation, every policyholder will have an additional fee of $50 upon renewal of their policy. Upon suspension, NFIP coverage is no longer available. Finally, you can always direct inquiries to DNR Division of Water at water_inquiry@dnr.in.gov. Does your community have better data? Types of data that would be required can be survey cross sections or information on bridges, culverts, or other obstructions in the stream. If you wish to provide the data, provide the information, please contact us or have the surveyor contact us at the water_inquiry@dnr.in.gov so we can either provide the cross-section locations and also provide guidance on providing this data, updated data. The guidelines for providing the information should follow the guidance for flood risk analysis and mapping data capture workflow details published by FEMA in February of 2018, Section 6. We can provide a PDF of the guidance for you. The information must also follow the general guidelines for hydrologic and hydraulic assessment of floodplains in Indiana by the Department of Natural Resources Division of Water, published in June of 2014, referring to Chapter 5. If you wish to obtain the documents, email us again at water_inquiry@dnr.in.gov. The person submitting the information will need 5 digital photos at each bridge, culvert, or other obstruction, and 2 digital photos at each cross section. The photos must follow the convention and specifications in the FEMA guidelines section 6.1. They will also need to provide sketches at each bridge and cross sections that follow the convention and specification in the FEMA guidelines section 6.2. The survey data should be delivered as a common delimited text file, which is a simple download from the surveyor's equipment. It must include all fields noted in Table 1 of the FEMA Guidelines, Section 6.3. All points should be labeled using the survey code shown in Table 3 of FEMA Guidelines, Section 6.3. All horizontal coordinates will be collected and submitted in the appropriate state plane coordinate systems in feet. Reference to North American Datum 883. Vertical data must be referenced to North American Vertical Datum 1988 in feet. Finally, all data provided should follow the survey data naming conventions listed in FEMA Guidelines Section 6.6 and 6.7. The supervising professional land surveyor should submit a surveyor's report at the end of the project, which defines the dates of the survey, equipment and techniques used to set the control, obtain and collect the data, and certifying the competency and accuracy of that data. Our disclaimer is that the submission of more detailed information does not guarantee a favorable change in the mapping. Mapping changes are made based on the data and that data's effect on the hydraulic analysis or modeling. The information is put into the model and any changes made are based on the data in the model, which may be favorable or unfavorable to the requester. For any questions about the video or submission of better data, please contact us at water_inquiry@dnr.in.gov. Thank you for watching.